Hello, my YouTube friends and family. Good morning. It is great to see you all today. And I want to say hello to my United States friends. It's kind of cool because YouTube gives my analytics and I look at it sometimes. And I'm just so thrilled about the views. As I've said, I wasn't expecting it, but it gives you like a little analysis of if it's men watching or women or people not identified as a man or a woman. It also gives you regions of places that people are watching from. And so I would like to say hello to the United Kingdom. I bet y'all can't understand me at all. Hello to people in the Philippines. It says that I've got like 12%, I think, from the Philippines that are watching. So I would like to say hello to the Philippines and probably just a lot of people that wonder where in the world I learned how to talk. So I must say I'm very uncomfortable doing this video this morning. I had a friend message me and say, hey, where's your video? You don't have your video out today. And so I was planning on doing it much later today because I'm going to tell you all, as I've told you before, I've stepped out into my faith and the opportunities, I can't even tell you how busy my days have gotten. So I'm being really careful and I'm really asking for God's guidance because I do not want to get busy like I was before because that's why my blood pressure went up. You know, that's why I was having my health issues. That's why I was not feeling good. So I'm really trying hard to follow God's guidance, listen to God's voice, and to prioritize my life the way He wants me to instead of the way that I want to. So I had my day planned out a certain way, right? And I took my daughter to school. I have gone to the gym. Before I took my daughter to school, I said my prayers. I got all of her stuff ready for school, warmed my car up, fed my animals, did all those things. But I did not have time to put makeup on. So I was planning on doing this video later. But the good Lord, like He likes to do to me, we dialogue a lot, and especially right now, when I'm home and I can hear and it's more clear, and He's like, you just got to get on there. And I'm like, okay, well, I don't have any makeup on. I'm not ready. I don't feel comfortable. And of course, the good Lord is like, you got to get on there. Sorry. So here I am, no makeup. On top of that, you all know, I get paid once a month. I've paid my bills. I have tithed. Well, I have a side hustle that I'm going to get paid as well. Praise the Lord. And because that making it through the whole month was really hard with my my career that I have at the moment. So I've paid my bills and I've tithed, but I have not gone to see my hairdresser. I'm like 3 weeks overdue. My nails, they look kind of decent like from here, but then like this one is like all messed up. So I need to get my nails done. I need some foundation. I need I'm even like out of lip gloss. Like I have nothing. I have some mascara. I probably should have put that on. But I've made the choice to pay my bills and tithe and just wait on, allowing my gray roots, allowing my nails to be messy, not having much makeup on until I get paid again. Because, that's another way the Lord has worked on me. In the past, I would do the other things, right? I would get my hair done and get my nails done, and I'd be looking all good, and I'd be broke as anybody could be. What do they say in Texas? I had a big old hat and no cattle. Or you can also say, in my wallet, I got a bunch of receipts, but no cash, right? So I would do that. So I am proud of myself, even though I don't look like, outwardly like I'm doing good, but inwardly I am, because I know that those bills are paid and I've given my 10% to the Lord. Well, actually it was more, But, and that even though I look like this, I feel much better than being all together and broke. Okay, so maybe I'll get to the point in life where I can be all together and still have money. Hopefully. Okay, so I've wrote down several things to talk to you about today. Okay, and so one thing is that, okay, so we're going to be talking about humility today. We've talked about pride and how pride can keep you from finding your purpose and keeping you from achieving your purpose. But humility can actually help you to gain your purpose. So we have to know about humility as well as pride. And I'm not finished with either one of them. I'm not finished with pride because I think we only looked at 7 of them and there's 30, I think. And but we're going to talk about humility a little bit because this is really how you can get to your purpose is with humility. Okay, so something that I listened to, I guess it was yesterday morning, is I listened to a one of my people that I listen to is Mel Robbins on YouTube. She's done a lot of things that have changed my life. One of them is how to have a good day. Is that you prepare for your day the day before. So however your day is going to be tomorrow depends on what you do the night before. Did you make your water bottle? Did you make your coffee and have it where you just push the button to start? Do you have your clothes laid out? Do you have your kitchen clean so that when you wake up in the morning you walk into a clean kitchen? Which that's very hard in my house because my kids like to mess it up after I go to sleep. But for the most part, it's clean. So that daily practice has really changed my life. But she also talked about how you go through, she's doing a series on adult friendships. So her video is called Stop Wasting Your Life. So, and it's Mel Robbins. I really advise you listen to that because that has a lot to do with purpose. And one of the things that she said is in between 29 years old and 60 years old, you're going to be around people, mainly your coworkers. So, from like until you're 18, you have your high school friends. Those of you who go to college, then you have your college friends. And then at about 21, your friendship life kind of plummets, right? A lot of friends are working on their graduate degree. They're working on their jobs. They're, doing different things. You're not seeing your friends like you would see them in high school or like you would see them at college. You're separated. You're at your jobs. So your friendship circle goes down by a lot from about 24 years old to 29. Well, then from about 29 years old to 60 years old, pretty much who you're around the most is your coworkers. You are, during that span of lifetime, you are around your coworkers more than anyone else, right? So you have to really pay attention to your purpose in that way. Some of you might be thinking, oh my gosh, I got to find a different job. Life is too short. Some of you might be thinking, like, oh, I work at a great place. I love my coworkers. This is wonderful, right? But if you're like me, what I did is after I heard her podcast is I reached out to, I texted my friend Dawn and Jenny, and we were roommates in college. And I asked them if we could put 3 weekends on the calendar because we live about an hour and a half from each other, each of us. And I'm in the middle, so it might work out where they just come to me each time. That would be easy. But so I reached out to them that I would like for us to put 3 weekends on the calendar because for us to get together and to spend time because they're really my great friends and I just don't make enough of an effort to see them. And so, but I just thought that was so interesting from 29 years old to 60 years old, the the people that you spend most of your time with is your coworkers. And so that's something to really think about. And, she talked about, like I said, it's a pretty lengthy video, so it's definitely worth watching it. But she talked about how, like, she has people that live 3 miles away from her and she never sees them, and just how you have to really make these things, the important things, important in your life, or else life just gets away from you and you're hanging out with people that you really don't like all the time. Okay. So, and then another thing I heard was I listened to R.C. Blake's this morning, and while I was at the gym, and he said that you really have to protect your happiness. That you are the one that is in charge of protecting your happiness, and that is your job. So if you're in a relationship where your happiness is just not possible, because only you can make yourself happy, right? You are in charge of your own happiness. Nobody else can make you happy. And your happiness comes from what your relationship is with God. That's where your happiness is. That's the secret to happiness, is how much time you spend with God, and what your relationship is with God. That's what happiness is. So nobody else can do that for you. There are people that can make you miserable, right? But as far as your happiness, you are the one that is to protect your happiness, and that is how you live your life. So those are good things, right? Think about who you want in your life, and think about how it is your job to protect your happiness. All right, so we're going to talk about a little bit about humility today. I feel like I need to go back and do the intro. Okay, so it's Gretchen's Guidance. It is day 20. We are talking about humility today. And I'm just going to say welcome, welcome, welcome. 12 minutes into the video. Okay, so I have a great example of humility for you this morning. So I was taking my daughter to school this morning. I told you that I got up and I kind of got her prepared for school, got a little bit prepared for me going to the gym after I dropped her off. But we were running about 5 minutes behind schedule this morning. My daughter couldn't find her shoes, even though I tell her to lay out her shoes, because it's usually her shoes that make us late. She's good about laying out her shirt that she wants to wear, and her jeans that she wants to wear, and her backpack, and her things for school. But she's not always good about laying out. So it's either socks or shoes that she can't find that makes her late. So she couldn't find her shoes. I can't remember what I was doing. I was doing something, but we got ready at the same time, but we were about 5 minutes behind. And so I was still driving carefully, but I was kind of, like this on the steering wheel, like, oh gosh, I got to get her to school. I don't want her to be tardy. And we come up down the street, we come up on this school bus. And I've talked to you all before about when you see a school bus, always pray for the bus driver, always pray for the kids getting on the bus, all of those things, the school that the child's going to. So I'm doing this, right? But I'm also thinking, oh my goodness, we're in a hurry and we're waiting for a child to get on the bus. And so I'm praying, but, kind of like, smiling and wanting to hurry, kind of praying. And this mom that was putting her child on the bus, and there was probably a row of probably 7 or 8 cars that were waiting for this child to get on the bus. And can you maybe come back down in like 10 minutes? Just like 10 minutes. Sorry, my son's doing stuff over there, and y'all probably hear him. He's putting honey. He's making a smoothie. He's putting honey in there. He's doing all kinds of stuff. It's actually a milkshake. It's a milkshake. Okay. So anyway, so this mom was coming, was putting her child on the bus, and, she could have done all different types of things, but she was a young lady, and she walked so slow. She walked so slow. She had to cross the street to get her child on the bus. Then she had to walk back across the street to go back to her house. And she was walking so slow. Did not even look around, was looking straight ahead, kind of had an attitude on her face, And I'm thinking, do you see all these cars lined up? And you're just, it was extra slow. It wasn't just slow, it was extra slow. And so that to me was an example of pride. It's somebody that is crossing the street and, it can see, well, maybe she did, maybe she didn't. The cars lined up, know when people are trying to get places in the morning. She just takes her sweet time like there is nothing happening around her world. And it was very frustrating. Now, I got over it quickly. I said a prayer for her, right? But it was very frustrating. So that's a great example of pride. Humility would have been, right, is that she kind of would have sped up a little bit, and she would have looked at the car that was waiting and, sorry, tried to hurry and get her daughter on the bus, looked back at the cars and was like, sorry, and then you're like, oh, she's hurrying, she's trying her best. I can't be frustrated with that, right? So that is humility, is where does it take any more time to be humble than it does to be prideful? No. It takes the same amount of time to be prideful as it does humble. So I just kind of saw that this morning, and I thought, you know what? That's a great example of pride and humility that I wanted to share with you all. And I felt like everybody's kind of been in a situation like that, where they're stopped at a school bus and they're trying to get somewhere, and they're trying to get to their next place. All right, so the humilities that we're going to talk about today is the first one, the first humility. And this From Pride to Humility book, it's just like pride. It has manifestations of humility where you can take the quiz and see how humble you are. And it has 1 through 5, the aspect of humility. And then there are actually 24 manifestations of humility. Okay, so not as much as pride, but still right many. All right, so one of the humilities is seeking always to build up others. And we've been talking about this. We talked about this the other day when I talked about language and how you go out into the world and people are cursing. And, I was at a checkout line and the employees were talking back and forth and they were cursing to each other, and it was just so discouraging. And how have we gone from, me working behind a cash register growing up to looking a person in the eye and saying, how are you doing? What would you like to eat? Let me know if you need anything else. Thank you so much for, your service and for purchasing something here, to where the number one, is there even anybody around to check you out, right? That's number one. Usually it's self-checkout. Usually there's not even anybody that's greeting you or looking at you. But if there is, how have we gone from, where you're actually talking to the person to where the employee doesn't even know you're there, doesn't even acknowledge your presence, forget saying thank you, and on top of that, you get to hear them cussing, not arguing, but that's just how they talk back and forth to each other. How have we gone from there to there? And we talked about how wouldn't it be nice to go out in the world and you hear people encouraging each other, because that's why God gave us our tongue, is to encourage others. That's the whole point of it. So wouldn't it be nice to go out into the world, and Americans' common language was to encourage, right? Can you imagine how different the world would be if there was one person having road rage and another, you know, 1 out of 100 was having road rage and the other 100 were nice and friendly and patient when they were driving? Like, people wouldn't know what to do with themselves, but it would be so better for our anxiety and our spirits if people acted that way. So, seeking always to build up others. Humble people encourage others. They use only words that build up and say what is necessary for the edification of others. They never cut others down. Ephesians 4:29. So if you want to read more about that humility, you can read Ephesians 4:29. All right. So that's being humble, serving others, trying to build up others. That will get you closer to achieving your purpose, even though it seems the opposite, right? It seems like letting people, you know that you're the boss is what would get you your purpose, but really it's more about humility. All right, so the next humility is serving, right? I can tell you, and I'm telling you, I have not always been like this. This is when I've gotten really strong in my faith. But and I don't know if I've told y'all this story before or not, but there was a time where I've been through all different types of a spiritual journey. So early on my journey, I went to church. I think I helped with the youth group because this was back when I was in my 20s. So I went to church. I helped with the youth group. I was pretty good about serving back then in that aspect. And then I started to tithe some, not 10%, but I would tithe some of my check. But I decided how much to give. It wasn't 10%. So then as my journey went on, it got to be where, I went through that whole anxiety thing where I didn't go to church for a while. But then I realized that over time is to spend alone time with God, to give 10% or more of your money and to serve. And so I was going to church. I felt like I was good about going to church weekly, spending time with God every day, tithing, 10% or more. I felt like I was really good about those things, but I was not doing so great in the serving aspect. I mean, I would do things here and there, but nothing consistently. So I actually joined a small group so that I could serve more. I mentioned that I've taken a break from that because my daughter started a youth group that it's the same night as my small group, so I'm trying to figure out how to get back into that. But I actually joined that group so I would have opportunities to serve, more opportunities. So it says, humble people are on the lookout for ways to serve and assist others. They are the first to volunteer for jobs no one else wants, and they take the initiative to reach out and serve others. Galatians 5:13. And this is something that I really love about my church is they're really awesome about serving. One thing that they messaged me yesterday about was they're taking Valentine meals to people that probably won't have anybody that would take them anything for Valentine's Day. So they're actually, after the services on Sunday, there's a team that's putting the meals together, and then there's a team that's picking up the meals and delivering them to the homes of the people that we know are in-house watching church and they're not able to come to church. So that's a real cool opportunity. And I love my church because they're very organized and they're very good about serving others. Okay, so the first humility we talked about was seeking always to build up others. The second humility is serving. The third humility is a quickness in admitting when you're wrong. And I know that y'all deal with this all the time, right? You do something wrong or it's probably easier to think about somebody doing something to you. Somebody does something to you that's wrong, but they just won't admit it. And you're like, why don't they just admit they were wrong, say they're sorry so we can move on, right? Why does this problem have to keep going and going and going? So, you know, that's humility. So there are times where I make mistakes, you know, especially with my daughter because she's in middle school and there's a lot of attitude and sass and she wants to be on her phone all the time and I want her to do this. And so there's a lot of battles that we have. And there are times where she'll say, well, Mom, you did this. And I'll say, well, I'm sorry, I shouldn't have done that. And it's just easy, right? And then you can just move on. Right? But why do so many people have such a hard time with doing that and just saying, yes, I was wrong? People want to say, well, they want to, and then there's those people that want to blame it on you and say, oh, well, I did that because you did. It's like, what? And see, this comes back to me being that kindergarten teacher. What is right and what is wrong? It's real simple. Why do people put it in between in that gray area and make it so hard? If you do something wrong, it's not easy. Just tell the person you're sorry and then move on, right? Okay, and it's the same thing if you tell a lie. If you tell a lie, say, hey, I lied about that. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have done that. And that person is going to respect you so much for saying that. So the first one is seeking always to build up others. The second one is serving. The third one is the quickness in admitting when you are wrong. And the fourth one is being genuinely glad for others. It doesn't say being genuinely glad for others if you like them. It doesn't say being genuinely glad for others if they're your best friend, right? It says being genuinely glad for others. And that includes everyone, if you like them or not. It's just having that attitude, because once you get closer to God and once your relationship is more secure with God, then you are not as worried about what other people are doing. I promise you that. And so it says, being genuinely glad for others. Humble people rejoice with others when good things happen, because they are aware that God has blessed them immeasurably, and they trust God for what they do not have. And you can read that more about Romans in Romans 12:15. So you trust God when, let's say, somebody got the job promotion that you wanted, right? You thought your purpose was to get that job and that promotion, and you worked hard and your friend got it. Well, you're happy for that friend because you know that you're trusting God, and if it was meant for you, you would have it. He's got something else for you. So your attitude is, oh, good. I'm glad my friend had that opportunity because God's got something else for me to do. It's like when I was in the gym this morning and I was getting ready. I had 2 machines left to do. 2 machines left. And I was getting ready to get on those 2 machines and get finished and then leave the gym. Okay, and I was already kind of in a rush because I wanted to get on here and do this video with no makeup on. So on that machine, there was a lady who trains in there. And so when she's working with someone, whatever machine she goes to, it usually takes a little while. So she comes up, she says, are you on this machine? And I thought to myself, oh my gosh, there's 2 machines that I just need to do and I can go. And I said, oh no, go ahead and use it. Are you sure? Yeah, go ahead, that's fine, right? So that's humility, right? Pride would have been like, no, can't you see I'm on this machine? Like I'm getting ready to go over to this machine. I'm beside it. So, you know, I am exhibiting humility and just saying, you know, like, sure, yeah, go ahead and use it. So I said, well, I'm just there's 2 machines there I had to do, but it was kind of crowded then. So I said, I'm going to go over here to the mat and I'm going to do some, some of those stretches, like where you're on your side and you use your feet to push your body up, or doing a plank and gosh, what is it called? Something dog down, something. Anyway, I was going to do some of those things that my friend Dawn had taught me. And so I did that while the lady used the machine. And I felt so good after doing those stretches and doing those little moves my friend Dawn had taught me when we were working out. And I said, you know what? I need to do this every time I come to the gym. I need to do this before I start doing the machines, and it gets my blood work going. And I felt so much better, like my shoulders didn't feel as tight. And so it was actually a blessing that that lady wanted to use the machine, and I could go over and do some stretches. Okay, so that's what I'm talking about. That's that example right there. So just remember to build up others today, to try to find a way to serve, a quickness in admitting when you were wrong. You know, if you've hurt someone's feelings, say that you shouldn't have done it, say you're sorry. Being glad for others, being genuinely glad for others. Okay, so I hope this spoke to you. I hope this helps you. Remember to check out that Mel Robbins video about stop wasting your life. R.C. Blake's has a new video about protecting your happiness, and that is wonderful as well. I'm sorry, but my nose is running, but I don't have any makeup on, so I might as well just give up on my appearance. So, but anyway, so remember to stir up love today. We have a lot of hate, and to practice humility, and that humility will bless you and bring you to your purpose. All right, thank you for watching. Bye-bye.